I want to ask you a question. Are you really earning what you think you're earning as a painter and decorator? Or, this is a broad question to people that are in the trade. Are you earning what you think you're earning? Because the truth is, if you're not careful, you could be actually working for less than minimum wage, even when you think you've got a good, fair day rate. Something else to add to the equation and something to think about, because from April 2025, the UK national living wage for adults went to £12.21 an hour. Now that sounds a bit low, yeah, maybe, but somebody who's self-employed, running their own business, when you factor in the cost of your van, you've got your insurance, you've got your tools, you've got your holiday, and you've got your admin time. If you think you're charging out £150 a day, you might actually be earning less than someone who's stacking shelves who's actually on PAYE. Just think about that. So you're going to say, what we're doing in this video? Well, we're actually going to be breaking down the numbers, the real numbers. We're going to look at how many hours you're actually working. We're also going to look at your overheads cost per hour, why your admin days matter, and also allowing for that time as well. And what you also need to be looking at is what you need to charge to hit figures of 20,000, 30,000, 40,000 and 50,000 and possibly 60,000 without going broke. We'll cover it all on this video. So stick around, because by the end of this video you'll know exactly what your day rate should be and why copying local rates could be costing you thousands. Go! So don't worry, I'm going to be coming in close on this spreadsheet, on these workings out in a moment, but let's just touch on a few things. Minimum wage comparison, we've got to take that into account. So when you're looking at all these figures, still have in the back of your mind that there's a minimum wage being paid by PAYE, by companies, for, we'll call it shelf stacking at £12.21 an hour. That's fair enough. You're running a business, so take that into account when you're looking at these figures. The self-employed risks, what have you got to be covering yourself for? You don't get any sick pay, you get no holiday pay, and I would probably say that there's a lot of you that are self-employed that haven't got pension provisions. Just think about that as well. And if you're undercharging, you're working for free, and I've said it times many, we're not a charity. You've got a business to run, and you've got to allow for the things that everybody else is allowed for in their business. Just because we're only painting and decorating or in a trade, we've still got to run the business as a business. So let's just talk about this, the myth of the local rates. Now, people go on about this. I can't charge this and I can't charge that. I think what everybody else is charging, forget that. You want to start looking at these figures and set your figures accordingly. If you've got customers that don't want to pay what you're wanting to charge, do you know what? They'll find somebody cheaper, and let them find somebody cheaper. You're moving away from the people that are just looking at budget painting. Let's move away from that, because your costs don't change whether you're, I don't know, up in Scotland to down in Cornwall, over the country. Costs for us as a business, running costs are the same. It's not variable with your postcode that you've got. The van, the tools, the insurance, the admin is the same everywhere, whether you're up there or down there. So don't think because you're in an area that can't command that money, you can't get it. All you've got to do is start looking for the people that are willing to pay for what you are providing them, the service that you can give, the quality of the paintwork, the quality of the job that you'll actually give them. That's what you want to be looking for. The people that are willing to pay for what you can give them. So what we're going to be talking about on this, we'll talk about it in depth when we get into the actual video, but I'm going to be talking about a 4-day week compared to a 5-day week, and also charging and billing out for an 8-hour day compared to a 9-hour day. And this is all going to come and make itself apparent when we talk about actually charge for the job and not be charging for the day, because as I'll say later on in the video, Nobody makes any money on day rate. If you can charge and price a job and get into pricing for a job, that's where you will earn your extra money. If you charge for a job and the customer accepts it, now, if you can do it in 2 days, brilliant. If you do it in 20 days, it's up to you. But the price for that job is the price for that job. So let's crack on with this video. There's a lot to get through, and I'll explain it all. So we're just going to keep it really quick and simple. Right, we're going to be looking at the charge out rates. Now, I'm going to be saying to you how we're going to work all this out. We've got a 365 day a year, and we're going to take off the weekends. We've got 8 public holidays, and we've also got 6 weeks, i.e. 30 days, that we're going to allow for unpaid. So out of that 365 days, we're taking off all the weekends because we don't want to work weekends. We're taking the public holidays off, and we're taking off 6 weeks unpaid because we might want some holiday and we might have some downtime where we're not actually bringing any money in or earning anything. So that drops us down to 223 working days. Now, on this, for the purpose of this video and to also make you think, I'm going to be touching on a couple of days, i.e. a 5-day working week and a 4-day working week. Now, you're going to say, what do you mean, Phil? I'm going to say we can all work 5 days a week. Yes, but also as a self-employed person, you've got time that you need to be doing your admin work. So I'm just putting a bit of a spanner in the works to make you think about something. And this is something as Beckwith Decorators do. I mean, it's the running joke. We don't work Fridays. And why don't we work Fridays? Well, we do work Fridays, but Fridays we do our admin. We do the office work. We go and see jobs. We go and get materials. We go and do all the stuff that we can't do or don't want to do late at night or on a weekend. So I'm going to try and work out this for you. If you worked a 5-day week and if you worked a 4-day week, and the 4-day week will include an admin day. So that figure there for a 4-day week will allow you to have Friday or whatever day you want to do your admin. But based on this, a 5-day week, you have, over the year, you've got 223 days that you can bill out for earnings. Likewise, if you drop down to a 4-day week, you've only got 138.4 billing days a year. So just think about that. You've got less time, but you can earn your money over the same period of billing days. Just saying, we're coming on to it. And the question is going to be, do you want to charge out for an 8-hour day? And I'll drop the camera down. Or do you want to charge out for a 9-hour day? This is something you just want to think about. And this is billable working days. Do you bill for an 8-hour day or a 9-hour day? That's just something to consider, and we are going to be talking about the difference in the figures. But we're also going to drop down to let's work out what you'd earn and have some target wage. A target wage, 20,000. We don't want to do that because we know that minimum wage now is about 25,000 on PAYE. So we've got target wages. We're going to work off the figures of 20,000, 30, 40, 50 and 60,000 a year. This is a target earning wage. This does not include business running costs, which we will come on to. Right, we're dropping back down to this 4-day and 5-day. Right, so for 4-day, we are looking at 178.4 days a year, which equates to 1,427 hours if you do an 8-hour day. And if you want to do a 9-hour bill out charging day, you are looking at 1,606. This is the hours that you can bill out over a year to earn your money to get to one of these targets, 20, 30, 40, 50 or 60,000 a year. Right, let's make this now simple. On a 5-day, you'll be back to the 223 days a year that you can earn your money of 20, 30, 40, 50 or 60. But your hours are slightly different, aren't they? Because now you've got an hour, the hours are 1,784 that you can charge for doing an 8-hour day, or a 9-hour day. We can look at 2007. Can you remember that? 2007. So 2007 hours are billable, working off 223 days of a year, working on a 5-day week. So that's your billing hours a year. Hope you understand that. So we're going to just come back down to the bottom bit. Let's break it down on the next sheet. Any questions on this one, just ask, but hopefully this explains where we're going to get these days and hours from. We've got a full year, but we're not going to work a full year because we've got things we need to take off. So let's go to the next spreadsheet. Right, everybody, you can see where we are now. We're on the business running costs, the overheads for a year. Now, I've worked this out just for an average stroke purpose of the video. We're going to say that this demonstration, we have got £9,600 worth of business overhead running costs. Now, depending on your situation, you might have 2 vans you're running for your business. You might have other charges. Please look at your bank statements. Please speak to your accountant. Get your figures together so you know what your actual overheads a year are costing. Now, as I said there, check your costs out, because this purpose of this video, we will be basing it on 9,600. Where'd you get that, Phil? You're going to say, right, if you've got a van, you've got fuel, you've got a fuel allowance, but sometimes your fuel charge, you may be charging that to a customer, so don't get the two mixed up. You've also got insurance, you've got servicing and your repairs, you've got your tyres, you've got your tax, and don't forget you've got depreciation. So based on that, the figures I've come up with are 7,200 for the overall costs of running a van over the year. You might have some other outlays on your van that you need to allow into that, so the figure could go up or it could go down. Coming back down to your basics of running a business, you've got business insurance and public liability. We've allowed 300 towards that. Check what yours is costing. But you've also got tools, ladders, rollers, sheets, spray equipment and the replacement fund. I've allowed £600 towards that. These are all adding up to that 9,600. Dropping down onto the next line in blue, we've got storage costs, you've got consumables, you've got PPE, you've got brushes, you've got paint buckets, you've got white spirit, etc, etc. I've allowed £400 for that. Now, going back down to the black line, we've got office, we've got admin, we've got software to pay for. You might have a website, you've probably got a domain name, hosting, email addresses, you've got your computer to be paying for, all bits and pieces like that. Now, there's also your phone to allow for, whether that be a landline, home phone, internet. You've got advertising, you've got membership association costs as well. Don't forget things like that you can all offset against your business, but these are running business costs. We've allowed £750. Now, coming back down to where the man could make you the money, your accountant. If you've got an accountant and somebody doing your bookkeeping fees, that, depending on the size of your business, could be £350. Adding that all up, 9,600. Remember, everybody, I'm not talking about if you're a business that's running on VAT. Your admin fees for your accountants might be a little bit more than 350, but in general, you probably look at about 350, depending on what your accountant is charging you for what he's actually doing for you. So this is where we get in the figure for 9,600. So let's move on to the next sheet and we'll talk about some figures in depth. Right, we've gone on to the next sheet now. We'll just keep up here so we know what we're doing. We've got overhead costs per hour. We're going to work that out now. You've got your 9,600 and we're going to divide it by your 8 hours or your 9-hour day. Now, working on a 4-day week, we've got 8 hours. You're looking at £6.72. That's what it's costing you, your working hours over the year for that 9,600. Likewise, if we go to a 9-hour day, that just drops slightly because you've got an extra hour of the day to allow for it, and it brings it down to £5.98. If we come on to a working week of 5 days a week that you're working over your 8 hours and your 9 hours, you can see that these figures slightly change to £5.38, and we've got a £4.76. Now, don't worry, we'll come on to these later on, but this, just to clarify, is your £9,600 divided by your hours that you're working over the year, whether it be an 8-hour day or a 9-hour day. That's where these figures slightly alter. Right, we're going to drop down now. This is the interesting one. I'm going to just split the camera to there. Hope you can see it. Right, we've got earnings only, and this is based on your hourly rate before your costs. So when I say before costs, you've got your taxes and bits and pieces. So just don't forget you've got things to pay the taxman. But if we work off a 4-day week, and we've got the 8 hours of a day and a 9-hour of a day, if you're wanting your target figures, pitch yourself where you want to be. We don't want to be at 20,000. 30,000 is probably still below what somebody fully qualified as a painter and decorator is earning on PAYE. We've got 40,000, 50,000 and 60,000. So these are just comparison figures. If we go to the 8-hour day, looking at wanting to earn 20,000 a year, you should be charging £14.02. Likewise, 9-hour day, that drops to £12.46. And if you're not understanding, that is because you're working an extra day over the total hours of the year that you're working. Now, if you remember that first initial sheet, I'll bring it back in. Hopefully you can see it. I can't hold it. I'll just stick it back there. Your working hours over the year, depending on whether you're 8 hours, 9 hours, are here. You're 1,427, 1,784, or 1,606, or 2007. That's your hours that you are actually working over that year, depending on what you want to do, whether you want to do a 4-day week or a 5-day week, and whether you want to bill out for 8 hours a day or 9 hours a day. So this is where we're getting these figures from. So if you look at that sheet there, you can see that at 20,000, you're at £14 an hour, and then £12.46 an hour. Let's look at these if you did at 30,000. Look where we are now. We're at £21.03. We're at £18.69 because you've got an extra hour. It drops down slightly. That's what you would be billing out, your time, as in your earnings. 40,000, we can look at this together, can't we? £28.05 or £24.92. If we want to go to 50 grand a year, we're setting our target. We want to earn 50,000 before tax. You should be charging yourself out at £35.06. Or if you're doing a 9-hour day, you drop that down to £31.15. If you want to really step it up and put yourself into the £60,000 category, you're at £42.07, and you're at £37.38 if you're going to be charging a 9-hour day. Now, let's just say about this day rate things. I've always said, and I'll mention it a bit further on, don't charge by the day. Don't charge your time, what you're to the customer. Charge for the job done. But you need to have a benchmark figure that you can set your prices at, that you know what you want to be charging. And this is where we're getting these figures from. Right, let's drop down to a 5-day week. Your 5-day week, this is working Monday to Friday, keeping it simple, on an 8-hour day or a 9-hour day. Again, we've got 20, 30, 40 or 50 or 60,000 pounds as your target earnings. Right, if you're doing 20,000, we'll do all the 8 hours. If you're doing 20,000 at 8 hours, 11.21. 30,000, 16.82. 40,000, 22.43. 50,000 is 28 and 4 pence. And then if you want 60,000 is 33 and 65 pence an hour. That's what you would be charging yourself out an hour if you're looking at target figure is 60,000 a year. Going on to the 9-hour day, if you want to charge out for a 9-hour day, these figures slightly drop. We've got a £9.96, we've got a £14.94, we've got a £19.92, and we've got a £24.90, and we've also got a £28.88. Now, remember, This is earnings only. This is not taking into account any business running costs. We're going to come on to that now. All right, now we're going to see, you can see on the screen, I hope this is all helping you with it being on the screen. You can see these figures, you can cast your eye over these, but we'll talk it through. Now this is your charge out rate. This is charge out rates, earnings and your business costs. Now if you want to go back to the previous screen, flip back through the video, you can see, but we will talk it through. If you remember, on a 4-day week, your business running costs were £6.72. Can you remember? £6.72. Now that will stay the same on your 4-day. Likewise, if you're doing a 9-hour day, it slightly alters from your 8-hour day. But let's just touch on all of this. And in red, you can see what your day charge out rate would be based off a day rate. So we go with the 20, the 30, the 40, the 50 and 60 again. So we're adding together the hourly rates with the hourly rate to cover your business running costs. And if you wanted to be earning £20,000 a year, allowing for your business running costs and that targeted earning, on a £20,000 a year target, you would need to be charging 166 a day. 30,000 is 222 a day. 40,000 is 278 a day. 50,000, 334 a day. And 60,000, if that's your target, 390 a day. Now, these look massive figures, don't they? But we've only got running costs of £6.72. And we've got a charge out rate of £42.07 on a 4-day week, working 8 hours a day. Let's move across to the 4-day week, charging out 9 hours a day. Now I'll say charging out, whether you work 7 hours of a day or 5 hours of a day, if you've priced the job up and you've allowed 9 hours over that day, your price that you've given the customer for the whole job to be done, doesn't matter whether you work 8 hours, 2 hours, spend 3 weeks on it, 2 days on it, you've worked them a price out they're happy with and they've accepted. So you've given them a fixed price, which can work in your favour. So let's go back to the 4-day a week based on a 9-hour charge out. You can see where we are, 20,000 going all the way through to 60. You still have that 166, 222, 278 and your 334 and your 390 a day rate. But what alters is what your charge out time is, because you have got 9 hours a day to make up that target figure. So they don't change because you've set a target figure. What changes is your hourly rate with your hourly rate for your business running costs. So I will say peruse those, because these are the things you want to be remembering when you're working out your figures. Your rate there for your business running costs are added to your earning rate, because these are your targets for these figures, and that figure there is those two added together, and that's what you would be charging out an hour to earn 20,000 a year. £18.44 over those workable hours, £166. Let's drop that down to a 5-day week. Right, 5-day week, slightly different on the hours and the figures, as we probably already worked out. We've got the 20 through to the £60,000. Your 5-day week, we're doing the 8 hours a day. An hour for 20,000 is £11.21 plus a £5.38, giving you a charging out hourly rate of £16.59, and that would get you, over those hours being worked, £133 a day to give you that 20,000 a year. We don't want 20,000. We want to be looking at 40s, 50s and 60s, don't we? So again, we're just touching on the same things. 16.82 plus your 5.38, 22.20 an hour. If you're charging that an hour at the moment on a 5-day week, you are less than £180 a day. You are seeing 30,000 a year. I can tell you now, if you look at the figures on the Painting and Decorating Association for what PAYE employees are earning, I can tell you that that figure there isn't far off what somebody is earning on PAYE. And they're not having to allow for business running costs, and theirs as PAYE covering all your holidays and things like that. So I know that the figure for somebody PAYE earning for a proper firm will be well over 30,000. So let's look at the 40. So it's 22.43, 5.38 is a 27.81. That's £228 a day you will be charging over those days. Can you see this with 60? We'll move to 60. 33.65, 5.38, £39 and 3 pence. That's what you will be billing out and charging an hour over those hours over the year for £312 a day on a day rate to get you 60,000 a year. Dropping across to 9-hour days, you can see the figures are exactly the same for the day rates. We've got 133 all the way through to 312, but this is your hourly earnings plus the hourly figures for your business running costs, giving you what your charging out rate will be. Where do you sit with that at the moment? I'll leave that on the screen for a moment so you can see it. This is where I drop the camera down, and this is where we're just going to be thinking something through. Working a 4-day week covers the 5th day, which is we're calling the admin day. So if you work a 4-day week, and we'll just split this down so you can understand it, because this is a lot of figures to take in. If you're on a 4-day week and you're wanting to earn 30,000 a year, you're dividing that by your hours that you're working over the year. That's taking off the bank holidays, the public holidays, the weekends, taking off that 6 weeks that you'll get unpaid would leave you with 1,605.6 hours a year. So that's what you've divided it by. You're also going to divide your 9,600 by the same amount of hours. That's how we get these figures. And this is where we've got an £18.69 and your £5.98 business running costs. That added all together gives you your charge out rate of the £24.69 an hour, and that is your that's your £222 a day. If you're charging around that, you'd be looking at earning 30,000 a year, and you're only working physically a 4-day week. Your 5th day allows you to do your admin. That stops you needing to go out at night when your kids have got sports clubs and you say I can't go. Do it on a Friday when they're at school. This is just something to think about. Have an admin day once a week. Have it in the week. Do it how you want. Don't be going out at night. Don't be going out at weekends, because if you worked it out on a 5-day week earning, properly working 5 days a week, 30,000, your hours that you're earning for are 2,007. Likewise, you've got 2,007 hours to split that 9,600. This is where you get your figures, £14.94 plus £4.78. That gives you a charge out rate of £19.72 an hour. That is just less than £180 a day. Think about that. I'll just leave it there. Think about it. I'm still here, everybody, and this is your final sheet. I'll talk you and walk you through this, but it's all on here. You can read it at your leisure as well. This is what my message is to you. Right, the first line is, if you're working fewer days, means fewer billable hours. But that adds to the pressure on each hour. That's where I've put more pressure on each hour. That then means you've got an hourly rate that increases. So you've got a higher hourly rate because you're working fewer days. But working more days reduces your hourly rate for your target figure, whether that be your 20, 30, 40, your 50 or 60, but you lose your admin buffer. And that's that extra day that you can say, I can do my admin. And what are you going to risk? You're going to burn out, because what you're doing is you're working 5 days a week. Then you've got to sort out your admin, whether you're doing that at night or first thing in the morning or going out at weekends to see jobs or working over a weekend. You're actually false accounting with the actual time that you're spending on your business. Whereas if you can say to yourself, I'm going to change this year and do 4 days a week physical work, but still allow for that 5th day to do my admin, all worked out into your costings, what are you going to get? You're going to get MWB. We're going to be touching on that mental well-being. You're going to feel a lot better. Trust me. As I say, we don't work Fridays anymore. We plan to do admin on a Friday. The computer stuff, sending out quotes, sending out invoices, sorting emails out. It takes that pressure off us working a full 5 days. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to spin and say, don't get me wrong. There may be times when I do work a Friday morning. Now that might be because we've started a job later on in the week and it probably looks a bit better for being on the job to actually be there. But on the whole, 4 days a week working with a 5th day to do your admin. Mental well-being. Think about that. Right, I'm going to just drop down slightly. We're coming on to the next one where we're talking about your van and your business running costs and your overheads. This is something that many decorators and traders, doesn't matter whether you're a decorator or plumbing, electrician or anybody like that, if you're in the building trade, we forget about this. Your business overheads could be easily between £4 and £7 an hour on top of what you need to be charging out to a customer. Now, as I said, that £4 to £7 could be slightly higher depending on what your business running costs are. And I will say, if you skipped through the front bit, speak to your accountant, go through your bank statements, go through what you're actually spending, see what you're actually needing to cover on your business overheads, because if you're not getting this right, we're coming back to the false accounting. You can start working for nothing. You can be the busy fool because you're working, covering figures that you've not allocated into your main structure of your business plan. Right, I'm just going to go down now because we're nearly done. Don't worry, everybody. This is a bit of a lengthy one, but I'm hoping you're understanding it. And again, if any questions, just ask. And please skip back to the time stamps if you don't understand anything. If we compare this to PAYE work, look what other companies are paying for PAYE staff employed. Now, this is where I was just speaking on the last slide. If you look at the Federation of Master Builders, or you look at the Painting and Decorating Association, they have guidelines for what PAYE needs to be for people who are labourers, semi-skilled, year 1, year 2, level 3, fully advanced craft qualified. They have base guiders to let you know what you would be charging, stroke what you would be paying a member of staff. It's a guide. I'm going to say it's a guide, but it gives you a guide to think what you need to be charging as well. Because you've also got to remember, we said at the very beginning, April 2025, for some reason, whether it be good or bad, the adults over 21, their minimum wage has now gone up to £12.21. And to put that into perspective of what we've just spoke about, if you were to charge less than £17 to £20 an hour, let's call it the £180 a day, because it was £178. If we talk about £180 a day, You may be earning less than someone on minimum wage. Once your van costs, your tax gets taken out, and all your business costs that go with running a self-employed business, you may be better off working for somebody, literally, than working as hard as you are for £120 a day. Somebody working for somebody as PAYE is probably better off than what you are. And we're going to drop down to the last little bit. You see me smiley face. That's how I sign off most of my cards now. Let's price properly. If you Google it, and this is going to be a question mark. If you Google it and you ask Checker Trade and things like that, the typical UK decorator's day rate sits around £325 a day. Some of you are shouting at the screen and probably already typing a comment. But this is what, nationally, this is what the day rates are. So let's take it as an average. £325 a day. Question yourself, where are you sitting with yourself on that at the moment? That figure there is being charged out to a customer to cover all your business expenses, your earnings, covering your buffers and everything under the sun. Where are you sitting yourself at the moment? £325 a day. And we're just going to finish on this last line before I come back onto camera. I've said it on many a video. No one makes money on charging a customer a day rate. And I know there's going to be people shouting, well, I'm charging £1,000 a day and I'm making good money. Brilliant, go knock yourself out. But on the whole, there's a lot of decorators and a lot of people in the trade that are probably only charging a customer 150 quid a day, 120 quid a day. Who's on the winning side of that when we've just gone through all the figures on all these charts about what business running costs can be, what your hourly rate could be, to see what you could be earning with your target figures, target earnings of 20,000, 30, 40, 50, 60. If you're charging as a day rate and happy with it, I think you need to sit down with somebody to go through these figures. Because I'm going to say to you, charge for the job done and not the time taken. I'm going to say thanks for listening to me, everybody. I know I wasn't on camera all the time and there was a lot of reading. Hopefully I've explained it. But I want you to freeze frame some of these figures on these sheets that I've got on the screen and just see where I'm coming from with this. Go back to that first screen to see how we've worked out how many days a year that you're going to be working. It's not rocket science. You don't want to work weekends. You're not going to do bank holidays. You want to allow that buffer of 6 weeks a year, that 5 days a week, 6 weeks, what's that? 30 days where you won't get any pay because you might take 4 weeks holiday. You might have a week at Easter. You might have 2 weeks in the summer. You might have 2 weeks off at Christmas and you've got an extra week there if you want to do something else. Likewise, you might have time when you're actually down on jobs have been messed about with you and you don't get any work for a week. So that 6 weeks might be a bit conservative to some. Alter it, alter the figures, do the spreadsheet yourself, make it 8 weeks, alter the figures for what you could actually be earning from the hours that you can work over that year. Alter these figures accordingly. This is just, that is an example. This is to get you listening to me to actually think about what you're actually charging a customer. I'm not saying whether it's right or wrong. I just want you to, I'd like that penny dropping moment for you to actually say, Phil, you've made me open my eyes to what I'm actually charging a day and I might have to just increase my rate slightly to give me that cushion of the time I'm working, what I'm putting into it. I need to get a little bit more out of it. And as I've said on sheet 2, or was it sheet 3, don't be hung up on what other people are charging. Be your own person. And there is, and I said at the very beginning, there are people that are going to say there's areas that you can't actually earn the money that I've been quoting and stating on here. Don't want to sound too rude, but do you know what? If that's the case, it might be the time for 2026 to start looking at what your business plan is and saying to yourself, would it be better, one, working for somebody else, or would it be better diversifying? Either diversifying into something slightly more specialist in your painting and decorating or in your business that you can start charging a bit more. But I'd also say to you is, look at your client base. Look at the people who you're working for. Have they got money? Haven't they got money? Do you need just to up your game? Do you need to up your game with the quality of the work that you're doing? You might be doing a fantastic job at the moment, doing a really cracking job, but you're not charging enough for the time and effort that you're putting into that job for that customer. And that is where we're going to say who's on the winning side of that. Thanks for listening. Questions below. Videos coming up at the side. Those that have done me super thanks over the Christmas period, thank you very much. Those that have bought me a coffee over the Christmas period, to say thank you very much for the last 12 months that I've done and I've helped them out. It is much appreciated. This video's gone out at 5 o'clock on New Year's Day 2026. Thank you very much for supporting me. Going forward, there's going to be more videos. We will touch on this probably later on in the year again. But do you know what? Just sit and think about it. Am I right? Am I wrong? I'm not saying whether you're right or you're wrong. This is just something you need to get your head wrapped around. See you on the next one.